Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the internet, welcome to YouTube, and welcome to my channel. It's Odio, and I've got another review coming in for you today, carrying on with the show X-Men 97 on episode 4 today. And one thing I can tell you after 4 episodes that I know for sure is don't skip the theme song. All right, welcome back, everybody. Happy to be back here again for you. I'm going to be doing us another review. This time it's going to be episode 4 of X-Men 97. I really enjoyed the first 3 of them, and they've all been a continuation together. This one's a continuation of episode before, and they're a continuation of the episodes from 1997. So, and I watched them when they came out back then, and I'm watching these when they're coming out now. So it's like a kind of a now and then thing. But yeah, the animation's great. Been loving it so far. Excited to get into this episode. And I'll let you know at the gate, it's a Jubilee episode, and I really like her. She was one of my favorite characters in the original. Basically, she was one of the first characters. They rescued her at a mall. There were like Sentinels. Storm had to go in and get her. Like it was really good. I loved it. And in this one here, we basically start off with them at the mansion, getting coffee and stuff. Magneto and Rogue are there, and Gambit. They're all kind of sitting around having coffee. They got nice mugs, little X mugs. And Gambit's sort of always hinting on that he wants to go out with Rogue. But it's pretty clear that her and Magneto are hooking up again. They don't like say it outright, but like it's pretty clear. She's like, no, that's no problem. The boss has already beat you to it. And he's like, would you take an orders? Can I get like a cappuccino? And he's like, I'm the one giving the orders around here. And he says they're going to be training more today. But some of them are like, wait a minute, it's Jubilee's birthday. It's her 18th birthday. Wow. And I remember like when she first joined, but I mean, yeah, 18th, that's a pretty exciting birthday. I remember my 18th birthday. It was awesome. And also, she's played by Lunette the Clown, Alison McCourt. I think she's fantastic. I liked her as the Clown. I loved her as Jubilee before. I love her now. Great voice actress. And she basically is going to be coming in to celebrate. And they're like, they don't want to basically do they don't want to go in and do a workout. And then even when Beast says that, he's like, well, it's her birthday. Maybe we should do something else. Wolverine's like, yeah, I agree with the Rogaine ad, right? Because Beast is all covered in hair. So basically she comes on in and they're like, okay, like we've got some stuff for you going on, but it's your birthday. What do you want to do? And she's like, great answer, by the way. She's like, well, I know it's going to sound old school, but I want to go to the arcade. I was like, yeah, because remember, it's 1997 and arcades were my jam in the 90s. I used to go there with quarters. I would dump them in that X-Men arcade game that was there. I probably put enough quarters in there to actually buy that machine myself. No doubt. I would just be going in there, pumping quarters in every time you die. And you could get 4 players going. My brother would play. It was great. There was the Ninja Turtles one too, also really popular at the time. But yeah, it made sense to me. And like they... Basically, I don't think they wanted to do it because it kind of cuts to Jubilee in a room and she's sort of making fun of Magneto like, oh, you think the Lord of Magnetism is going to be going into an arcade? So I guess not, right? But felt like a good idea. Her and Roberto are hanging out. They hang out a lot. They hung out a couple episodes ago going dancing and stuff like that. I think they're going to kind of get together. But they're hanging out in the room there and she's just saying how disappointed she is, how much she wanted to go to the arcade. And he's like, wow, like you really do like video games. She's like, yeah. And she really wanted to go. And then she's like, well, and he said, well, a lot of the X-Men are gone because Genosha's been let into the UN. Don't you think that's important? And she's like, yeah, but I mean, it's my birthday, my birthday, video games, right? And then he's like, well, yeah, I mean, we can play that one. And she sees there's a video game console, Motendo. And he linked to Mojo. But anyway, he says a Motendo. And she's like, what's that? I don't even know what that console is. Then they go to play it. And when they turn it on, let me tell you, I'm old enough to remember Captain N the Game Master. That's what this looked like. Or like Tron. Like they basically get like sucked into the game through the controllers. Or like a more recent Jumanji. But I don't know, Captain N the Game Master, first thing I thought of. And they kind of get sucked in there. And then all of a sudden, they're in the video game world. And it's really cool when they get down in the video game land. And like Jubilee had said earlier, like the only people that dislike video games are people that are no good at video games. I'm inclined to agree. Even if I'm not good at a game, I'll tell you, if I'm no good at a game, I'm way less likely to like it or play it over and over again. But if I'm awesome, I'm like, yeah, let's play this game all the time. It's the best. Anyway, they kind of get sucked in and then they're in like video game land. And they're having to fight Sentinels and stuff. And she's kind of like, Roberto, like break out your power, man. Like we are under attack, right? He still doesn't really want to though, because he said he feels like all the the attention's on him. So she's having like take down sentinels and stuff like that, and they have no idea why this is happening. So as they're like trying to run and get away, a phone starts ringing, and I'm like, is this the Matrix? And the phone rings and rings, and then they basically they go over and they answer it, and yeah, just like the Matrix, when they answer it, they kind of go into like another place. I was like, this is cool. I really liked it. It's a really nice concept. Then they're basically at a dam. It's like a dam in Genosha that Bolivar Trask actually had the mutants doing that, making the dam a long time ago, like when he had them under mind control. Anyway, they're there and they're having to fight like I guess it's AIM, but they're basically fighting a bunch of goons and they're getting shot at and whatever. And then they're gonna die pretty much. Jubilee is hurt, and then she gets her health back at one point, and like it's like a video game. And then there's all the enemies all of a sudden get knocked down and die, and her health, and Jubilee gets healed. She doesn't know how, and they see like this weird glitch. There's like a wall, like a glitch wall, kind of like, you know, Ralph Breaks the Internet type like glitch. And then basically in that glitch, there's a person, and it's just like another character, like almost like, I don't know, like Tron as well. Like I said, there's a lot of things you can compare it to, and that person kind of saved them. And then it cuts to like what I thought was going on. It cuts over to Mojo. Yes, Mojo. Mojo is he's quite the character to see. He's like a spineless one. They're from a planet Mojo world, basically, where they don't have any spines, and they have these like machines. They kind of float around with like spider legs on them. They float up in the air. Their whole world in the 616, that's the comic universe. They basically they went mad. Like TV shows were directly beamed into their brain, and like they all went kind of crazy from it. And then their basically whole society was built around that, and who could get the greatest ratings, which was Mojo for the longest time, right? It was all set up by one of the guys who ended up taking control. He was doing it so that he thought they could absorb the information, but it ended up just driving them all nuts. TV, right? But what are you gonna do? But basically after that, Mojo is now trying to get more ratings, and he said it's been a really bad third quarter. So now he's taken Jubilee, and then he's into his world, and he's been trial running them, and he wants them to now be the big stars. They're going to be the ones, yeah, everyone's going to watch, and it's going to bring the ratings up for him. And he's looking pretty skinny, and he's pretty big in the comics, right? And so anyway, they're basically, now you're going to be the stars, and he says he's going to put them into a game. And so that's what happens. They basically get put into like a classic X-Men game. It's awesome. I used to play this game. I dumped quarters into it, like I said. So they kind of just are reliving that, and she gets knocked down at one point and hurt, and like a healing token appears, and then you see Mojo again looking at his sister, like, I told you to take care of these things. But they're fighting the Sentinels. It looks like levels from the game. Like, I remember the music and everything. It's a lot of fun. I really like this episode. Like I said, just like Captain Ant, they're going to the game world. They're like Reboot, you know, where they play the different games. So she and him are going through it, and finally she's like, gets him to use his powers, and he's got pretty cool powers. It's like a beam weapon type thing. But anyway, they go on through, and they're beating levels and things like that, and she kind of likes it. Jubilee's like, this isn't that bad. And because he said, Mojo said that you're going to be the star. You know, Dazzler had another gig, right? So they're pretty similar characters. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. They're different, but anyway, Jubilee and Roberto head on through, and they're basically doing the levels of the X-Men game. You get to see some cool scenes. You get to see her use like her superpower. You could do that in the arcade by slapping all the buttons together. Anyway, and they go on through, and then they get to the final boss, Magneto's base. And as soon as they get there, like a giant Magneto bomb just like nails Roberto. He goes flying, and Jubilee and Magneto have to go at it in a crazy fight. There's like all kinds of lights flying. It's awesome. She's pretty powerful, and it's not really Magneto, right? It's like a computer generated one, right? So of course she's able to kind of defeat him. And then Roberto gets an extra life. Jubilee finds an extra life for him and gives it to him. And then Mojo's like, what's going on? Where did that come from? And his assistant's still trying to take care of it. And then basically Magneto gets back up, and everyone's like, oh no, they're going to fight him again. Jubilee's like, well, I got him down once, you know, look who took out Magneto. And then a giant hand just grabs them, and then they're just gone, taken off the screen out of there. I was like, okay, wow. It's like the Matrix, like they just glitched, they're gone. So Mojo gets mad and yells, because, I mean, that's going to affect ratings, of course, right? Jubilee realizes in the fight against Magneto that it's a boss fight and it's going to have a pattern. So she kind of follows the pattern until she does like kind of defeat Magneto and gets him down. And that's when she like is able to go over and, help out Roberto. And that's when we get over to like a really cool kind of Tronish moment there too, like where Jubilee realizes the person they save her is actually herself, but older when she takes off the mask. You can tell by the hair and stuff it's her. They give the same response to Roberto. It's awesome. So she basically explains that, they had to run trials like betas, like, the cake is a lie type thing. And they had to keep doing it over and over again. And she got out. She tricked the code or like got through a glitch and rewrote the code and escaped. So she's the only one that was left. And she's going to help Jubilee defeat Mojo and escape the network, right? So then they go back and they have a big final showdown with Mojo. It's great. The two Jubilees are fighting, and old Jubilee, the one that's been there for a while, she's doing all kinds of awesome moves. She's going in and taking out the spider legs because Mojo comes in the video game and he is just huge in there, like a giant. His legs are massive. Anyway, they're like shooting to take out his legs and things like that. At one point, Jubilee's like, "Oh my god, I didn't even know we could do that." So it's awesome. Then they go in for the final blow after they team up. Roberto, like I said, I think he fires his beam like once or twice. He kind of gets involved. You see his arm change color, and he does shoot at least once in the episode, so he seems like he could be powerful. But the two Jubilees team up together. It's awesome. They just like blast Mojo until it's all over with. So then, after Mojo has been completely destroyed, and his animation when he dies is great. It's like a big blah, 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 like all one of the spineless ones goes down as a real mess, but it was awesome to see. Like, it's all like a video game. So then that frees her. Jubilee is free, and her and Roberto are out then. And then they finally kiss. I was like, yes, at last, right? They've been dancing and kind of flirting around for a while, so about time. Then they're all free and good, so their story kind of ends there. But the episode doesn't end because then we cut over to Storm. So Storm is out at a cabin with Forge, and they're there and basically eating bison stew and stuff. He's a great cook. And she is pretty much saying how she really wants her power back. She's missing it. And Forge is explaining how his power works. Kind of like Sylar from Heroes. Like, he can just see how things work by looking at them and then can fix them to be able to extend his life for a long time. And, he's trying to help her out. And he builds a machine that should bring back the power. They go on a horseback ride. They see an owl flying around and talk about how it flies. It's really good. The animation's great. They're on like a big old ranch. It's nice. I love seeing Storm. Her powers are awesome, so I wanted to get them back. So I'm very anxious. They go into this machine. It's supposed to bring her powers back. It doesn't work. It's like really disappointing too in the episode. I was like, oh, it really hits you. You're like, I really wanted to get them back. So she gets mad, but more sad than anything, and she's frustrated because she can't hear the wind. And then after that, the next day, like, Forge is still trying to get it done. She's like, why is it so important to help you? And through their talk, she kind of realizes that he's the one who invented like the collars that take their powers, which sort of based the technology, which is how she lost her powers permanently. So she's pretty upset about that. And he said, I didn't tell you because you wouldn't have let me help you. But he still thinks he can help her. She gets pretty upset though. She takes a horse and just like rides up and runs away. She's pretty mad. And as she's going, there's like a big storm building. And then earlier on when she'd been riding with the horse, she almost went off a cliff. Forge is telling her before she leaves, like, don't leave. I think you're a goddess, even without your powers. I love you. So he loves her. And like, she just fights everything and goes off on the horse and just starts riding really hard because she's just in denial that she lost her powers. And then she goes to fall off a cliff, the same cliff. This time she falls all the way off. And I was like, oh my goodness. I thought she was going to get her powers back and fly. But then like, nope. She just slams through the roof of the place where Forge is and is there in the wood cabin. And she's like, how did I get back here? And he's like, I don't know. And then out of nowhere, there's like a giant crow demon. I don't know what this thing was. I was like, whoa. And it comes out and just bites Forge. It's like 8 feet tall. Like, it looks creepy. It's like a giant crow with like black wings. It's got malevolence all around it. This is the bad guy. And Forge calls it a demon, but it bites him, throws him in the corner, and tells Storm that it's called the adversary. And that it feeds off basically sadness and like, just bad feelings in general, pretty much. But to be fair, I think the exact word he used was misery. He feeds on misery. And, like, she's his, like, biggest meal. They're not going to let it go to waste. And then, like, it just cuts away. Because that's, like, part 1. So there's going to be a part 2 next week. Honestly, really enjoyed it. Loved it again this week. I love the tone. I feel like it's just a continuation of that show I watched back in the 90s. The characters are really good. This one was all about Jubilee. I always liked her. I never knew the extent of her powers, so I always find her an interesting character. I liked it. They switched back to Storm. I like her. I want her to get her powers back, so I like that storyline there. Really looking forward to it. This episode, like I said, didn't have a lot of the other X-Men. They were off, in the UN and Genosha taking care of that. So hopefully they'll be back next week. But overall, can't wait for part 2. Love the whole series so far. Really excited to keep watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks for staying this long if you did. Really appreciate that. So thanks for your time. Like and subscribe, and stay out of trouble, everybody.